Hi guys, and welcome back for day 8 of the 30-day financial challenge from Elevate Profit, where we're going to help you construct your first iteration of your financial analysis department, which is a really key function that is neglected by so many businesses. We're going to help you figure out what information or what financial information you've got access to as part of your business, and then how you can use that to help you make good business decisions. So we are, like I said, on the 8th day of this challenge. So we're pretty much done with the first stage, which is to work out your historical margins based on your last 12 months of data. So you can see here that we've got these figures already. We've got 3 more months to plug into this data, and we're going to do that today. Okay, and then we're going to start from next week. We're going to be looking at how to use that data in many different ways to help you make good decisions with your business and help you just get on top of your finances, really. So what we're doing today, we're going to start from October, which is here, the 10th month, and we're going to go all the way down to the very last transaction of the year, which will be the end of December. So copy that, and then we're going to insert that into our calculator spreadsheet. So scroll down to the bottom, you'll find yourself a space to put it. And then there we go. So it looks pretty much like that. We need to go through each expense, each outgoing, and categorize that as whatever it is. So the majority of you will know exactly what you're doing by now. By the last 3 months a year, you'll recognize each transaction and you'll know how to allocate it. But again, any questions about a specific transaction or where certain things go, just let me know. But we're going to work through that now and just make sure that we've got everything included, okay? Let's pay. A bit more money taken out towards the end of the year, which is nice to see, which is what we're aiming for. We're aiming to help you withdraw as much money for yourself as you can out of your business while remaining in business. That's the name of the game, really, making a profit and actually being able to keep that profit. So that's what we're going to try and do. But the first stage of all of that is working out your margins. If you don't know your margins, you're going to find it very difficult to know exactly how much to charge, exactly how much money to keep for yourself. So that's the very first thing that we're going to do. And it's very nearly at the end now where we can actually start to use this information. It's just the last slog of categorizing all these transactions and making sure that they are put in the right place. So the reason we do it this way first, we put a little category down here, is because it's a little bit easier then to insert them into the formulas. So once we've got everything categorized, it makes it easier to insert those where they need to go to make the spreadsheet do what you need it to do. So make sure you add a category first to everything. It will ultimately save you a bit of time. And obviously by the end of it, by day 8, by the end of the year, you're going to be much quicker at knowing what to allocate where. So fingers crossed, you should be absolutely flying. So the income doesn't need, so the income column, this column here, doesn't need categorizing because that just goes into a total that helps us. We'll explain this later, but it will help us set our targets based on your turnover. So the bigger your turnover, a company that turns over $1 million is going to be, it's going to have different targets than a company that turns over 100,000. So that's why we're keeping total of the income. But again, we'll circle back to that later on as we sort of progress further down the line. Okay, so there's a lot of wages here. Just label that something else, job X, because that was mislabeled. That was my bad. Then we're just making sure that we've got everything categorized. We're in December now, so we're in the last month of the year, which is great. Expenses, more wages. Here we go. So the last few. Wages. Wages. And then last 4 wages as well. Cool. So that's those categorized. And obviously what we're going to do now is we're going to insert those into these formulas here to make sure that they add up. So you can see here, total outgoings equal 113,000. So we need to make sure the total of each of the categories, which is the total of these ones here, are going to match up. Okay, so it's a brief we went over yesterday how to know whether you've missed anything. And we're just going to hopefully not miss anything today, but you'll be able to see if we have very clearly. So scroll down to the 10th month, scroll down to October, and we're looking for anything that says materials. Okay, so anytime there's materials here, you want to add that adjacent box into the formula. Okay, so actually probably wasn't that many materials this month compared to this quarter compared to other quarters, but do it anyway because we've got to do it. Almost missed one there. So just keep an eye out. Anytime there's materials, just make sure that box next to it is highlighted, because every little thing counts. So every extra bit of slabs that you had to pick up, any extra concrete that you didn't realize you needed at the start, a few cobbles here and there, an extra fence panel, these are all going to affect your margins. So whilst you might not have built it into your price to start with or built it into your finances to start with, doing it this way just ensures that you don't miss anything. Okay, so there's no more VAT payments. Owners pay, there were a few actually, wasn't there? So that's good. So we will go down to number 10, 10th month, and then owners pay. Just make sure they're all done as well. Okay. Here we go. Just hit the plus sign, click the one next to the owner's pay. Make sure you don't miss anything. Right, here we go. There's a couple at the bottom. The big one this month seemed to be wages. So it must have just been rounding off the year, paying their staff in this fake company, which is very kind of them. There were no more tax contributions, no more profit payments. There was a lot of wages in these last few months. So hit the plus sign, scroll down to the 10th month, just here, and then do the same for wages as you have for everything else. Hit the plus sign, click the next box with wages next to it. There's probably 15 transactions in these months here with wages. So just make sure they're all included. Get them in. There's a whole bunch of them here. So get those in. Nope. Added it twice. That's something that hasn't happened yet. If you accidentally click it twice, it'll add it twice. So if there's the weird situation that your total of your categories ends up higher than your total of your outgoings column, then you might have just accidentally clicked something twice. But that hasn't happened as yet. I want that one, that's the wrong one. If that does happen to you, if the numbers do end up being higher, that's how you know that that's happened. Okay, so we don't want that, we want that. Well, there's an awful lot of wage transactions these last couple of months, but we're pretty much there. And just the expenses column to go. There we go. That's that one. The last one, so we're looking for somewhere in the region of £6,000 worth of expenses, just to total that up. If this is your biggest column, there's the most transactions, as you can see. The little rainbow in the form field. We're going to scroll down again to the 10th month and just hit every expense transaction, which actually, like I said, there's fewer of these this month than there was in previous months. So that's absolutely fine. Expenses plus these expenses. Here we go. Right, so just make sure everything's included, and we're gonna make sure that everything adds up as it should do. Once we've got all the expenses added into the formula. That's it. Fantastic. So let's just fingers crossed that it all adds up. It doesn't, and the reason why is because I tried to sneak a shortcut in there. It didn't work, unfortunately. So in here, just don't mind what I'm doing. Just delete those ones. So you have to click every box one at a time. Okay, as I've learned now. So any ones where I've tried to include multiple transactions, I'm just going to have to delete that now and go through each of those and make sure they're included as well. So go into this formula, click plus, and we're going to go back down to those. We're going to click in the individual lines and the individual cells rather than trying to bunch them all together, which I thought would be a little bit of a shortcut, but clearly isn't. So click plus, hit the box for each individual one. So it's going to be this bunch here. There's going to be a second bunch as well that I didn't do. But you can tell, same as yesterday, and you can tell which ones you haven't done because you find something that says expenses here, and then the box next to it needs to have either a dark ring around it or a colourful ring around it. So make sure you've got everything. I believe that is everything, and I've not missed any. Fingers crossed. So what we should see is once I hit enter, we should see. Oh, I've got a plus in the formula. Getting sloppy with this now. So get rid of that extra plus at the end. We should see that the outgoings and the categories add up, which they don't, which is frustrating. So again, we're just going to have to go through each category and make sure they don't miss anything. So what are we short? We're short about £400, about 390 quid. So if you know what that might be, I've got my suspicions that 390 quid sounds like one of the interest payments. So we're going to highlight those and scroll down to the 10th month of the year and just see if anything that says expenses has a box next to it, which it looks like it does at the moment. Nothing missed. Yeah, okay, so it looks like all the expenses were done. Then what we'll perhaps do is we'll start with materials. That's probably your second most common one, so get that in there and we'll just make sure we're at the end of the formula if we need it, and we'll scroll down and we'll see if we can see any materials costs that have been missed. So start of December. So it was about that amount that I think we're looking for. So we'll just make sure that we've not missed any of those. Materials, which again, it doesn't look like we have at the moment, which is fine. Okay. No, so not materials either. The next culprit might be wages, because there's an awful lot of wage transactions these months. So what we'll do is scroll all the way down to the 10th month again. Just make sure all the weight, same again, make sure anywhere it says wages here, it has the corresponding box next to it. I've spotted it. There we go. It's not wages. It is. I'll show you. It'll be this one here. I'm fairly sure of it. So rather than expenses, I've read where it says interest there, and I've just put interest myself. I thought that's what it would be. It was the exact amount. I've done it again. Hard to say one word and type another. So expenses there, and I think if we go into expenses, that will be the culprit. So scroll all the way down again. Should spot it easily now. So it will say expenses rather than wages. Where are we? There we go. Bingo. Get that in there. Bracket. And that should now add up to the same. And it does. Happy days. So as you can see there, I kind of knew from looking at the year's worth of data over the last week, I kind of knew what the amount was for. So I knew there was 390-ish missing, and I knew, that was the regular interest payment that this fake company was making. So I knew that was probably what I was looking for. I found it. There we go. So it looks like I actually mislabeled a category as something that isn't a category. I just copied the word from the supplier reference. But again, that is something that can happen. But with these checkers and with these things in place, you just make sure that you always spot it, and it's never going to go missing. So that's this margin calculator finished. So you can see here all the margins that were the company operated on the last year. So all the expenses, and therefore the amount that was due out in terms of what was paid out. And that gives you your kind of company's margins to operate from going forward. Okay, so now we've got that all sorted. We'll revisit that on the next day's challenge, and we'll show you how to use them and implement those within your business. So now that you've got all your overheads and all your expenses and outgoings calculated, you now know effectively how you've got to charge for your job based on based on your last year's worth of history. So now you've got the margins. As I said, it was either going to be materials or expenses that were the highest outgoing, in which case they were very, very close, and expenses was just slightly more than materials. But it just means when you're submitting a price, you need to make sure you've got your 29.48% margin included for expenses, you've got your 28.25 for materials, and then all the way down to include absolutely everything to make sure you're pricing accurately. So we're going to show you a couple more tools, and we're going to build out a couple more things based on this, based on these findings, to show you really how to implement them within your business and how to start using those margins effectively. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. It's the weekend tomorrow, so we won't do anything Saturday or Sunday. But what we are going to do is come back on Monday, and we're going to start building the first little tool that's going to help you use these margins when you're pricing. So the first pricing tool for you and your company to use your margins when you're pricing. And then once that's all built out, what we're going to do is going to show you how to build a system to manage your cash flow. So once you've priced up, you need to make sure that the cash that's coming in from the jobs is coming in regularly. And then when it does come in, it's allocated specifically for the purposes that it needs to. Okay, so you're not dipping into it. You're not dipping into budgets when you shouldn't be. And it's all based on around cash flow and good cash flow management. Okay, so those are the last two things that we're going to implement. It'll probably take us a couple of weeks to build them out and go through them step by step to make sure it all looks like it should. But the good news is this margin calculator spreadsheet is actually the biggest input of energy. So this actually takes a little while to do. It's a lot of individual transactions. You've got to go through every single one. And thankfully, this is the most kind of labor-intensive work to do. The rest of it is a bit more complex. It's a bit more complicated in terms of formulas, but it is only going to work on, 20 to 30 cells rather than whole pages and pages and pages of transactions. So well done on getting this done. Well done on going through the last 12 months of data. It's the most boring job. Let's be honest. This is the job that's going to take you the most amount of time to make sure that you've gone through every individual one. But we wanted these margins, and we wanted to make sure that you had them completely worked out and included for your last 12 months of operations. And now I've got those, we can go on to some more technical stuff, but it's stuff that's going to make a massive, massive impact. And it's little tools that we can help you build to really start implementing these findings in your business. Okay. So as always, if you've got any questions, let me know. We'll be back again on Monday. We're going to take a couple of days off now for the weekend. You've done a lot of good work to get this done. So we'll be back in a couple of days with, I think it will be day 9, won't it? The 9th day in the 30-day challenge. And then if you've got any questions in the meantime, just give me a shout. I'll answer over the weekend, no problem at all. But if you've got any questions specifically about getting this set up, or if you don't have time to sort of follow through with it and get it all done on your own behalf, just give me a shout. Again, we offer a fully managed solution, so we can get this all done for you, no problem at all. Just give me a call, just give me a shout, give me an email, drop a comment, and I'll direct you towards the link that you can get yourself set up with us, and we can get this all done for you in a matter of days, rather than manually doing it yourself. Okay, so have a nice weekend. Any questions about this, let me know. We're back again on Monday. Any questions in the meantime, just give me a shout. All right, cheers, guys.